Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to take and saw off this little end right here, if I can get that focused. And I'm going to remove the flashing on both the copper and the brass, so that when I roll this out, I don't get a flattened out piece that's hollow in the middle. So I want to cut that off. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to start with alright, the edge is knocked off there, and we're going to cut it like right about here. So as you can see there, I got a good solid end on both ends, which is what I want. I'm going to do the same thing with the copper one. I really like how well this copper files and works. It's got the way the saw blade or the file drags across it, so it feels pretty good. It's soft, it's not quite as hard as the brass. Broke another one. I think I'm done with it. Yeah. Alright. Alright, so what I've got here is got another solid end. That one's got a little pit in the middle of it, but what this is going to be used for, I don't think it's going to hurt us any. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab the camera, move some stuff around, and we're going to go to our rolling mill. And what I want to do is I want to take our brass, and I want to roll it out to a piece of square stock, but I don't want it real narrow. I think this needs to be about a 6 millimeter. About a 6 millimeter width when it's all said and done, maybe about, I don't know, about 2 millimeters in thickness. So let's work on that and see what we get. So every couple of passes, I'll close in the rolls a little bit. This stuff's rolling out really well. So you can see there, after a few passes, we're already starting to get a square stock out of our round bar. We're just going to keep going with it. Alright, so now we're starting to flatten it out some, and we will continue to do this until I get it about the width and the length that I need. So I'm just going to keep doing this, and check back in with you guys here in a little bit. Okay, so what I've got done at this point is I've gotten a piece of brass rolled out quite wide. That's probably I think it's somewhere around 10.5 millimeters wide. I'm holding it with a pair of tweezers because I just got through annealing it and it's still pretty hot. Hot enough I don't want to hold it with my fingers. And annealing it is after you've rolled it so many times, the molecules get really tightly packed and it becomes somewhat brittle and unmanageable, hard to work with. So we anneal it to soften it up a little bit so that we can continue to form it. So that's what annealing is, and I'm sorry I didn't get that on camera. It's really not much to it other than heating it up with a torch to the point of getting glowing red, but not melting it. So we don't want to destroy the structure of the metal that we've already formed. We just want to relax those molecules. I'll try to get that on camera later. Let me set this back down, let it cool off some more before I start working with it again. Same thing with our copper. I've got it rolled out slightly narrower. It's only about 6 millimeters wide, and this copper has really been nice to work with. I really like the way this is turning out. I also poured another piece of brass that we're going to run through the mill, and we're going to make some brass wire out of this. And I'll move the camera around and I'll show you how we do the wire. We'll start on the mill the same way that we do the flat stock. I'll use these grooves over here as I did before. Only I'll continue to work my way down these grooves to a smaller piece, and then from there we end up using a draw plate such as this to make our square wire round. And I haven't made up my mind yet if I want my wire to be square or if I want it to be round. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and just make this wire smaller, and I'm going to leave it square until I get a little further along, and then I'll decide then if I want to make it round or leave it a square stock. There's a lot of videos on YouTube about rolling metal and designs that you can roll into metal and so on and so forth, and I may do that with the copper. I'm not sure. I've got a design that I'm going to put on the copper, but I'm not real sure how I'm going to put it on there yet. I don't know if I'm going to do it in the rolling mill or if I'm going to do it with a hammer and some chasing tools. We'll see. I hadn't got that far yet. I mean, you can see how much longer this is from where I started. So you can imagine that if you just kept going with it, how much longer you could make it. Alright, let's mic this and see what we got. Looks like about 1.3 millimeters. We're going to leave this kind of the way we got it now. I might decide to make it smaller later when I get closer to needing it, but we'll make that decision when I get there. So, alright, we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, what I've got here is this is a ring forming tool, and what I will do is I'm going to, I may just gave that away, ring forming tool. There's you a clue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brass and I'm going to put it in this ring former, and I'm going to bend it around to where I can get most of a circle made with it. I'll do it on both sides. That end may be a little difficult. Alright, so now what I have is I have a circle, and I might as well go ahead and let the cat out of the bag as to what this is going to be, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get very much further into this project without you guys picking up on what exactly this is. So we're going to make actually that's the wrong finger, because we're going to make a wedding band for a fellow with this, and it's going to be a layered wedding band, so that we have a layer of copper in the middle, like that. And our wire is going to go across the two layers. So I have to get this to a finger size 10. Then we'll cut the ends, we'll solder the ends together. This will need to be wrapped around the outside as well. So we're going to move. I'm not gonna form this yet on the ring bender, because I don't exactly know what size to make it, and I don't want to work against myself. So we're going to work on making this a finger size 10 and solder it together and make it into an actual band, and then we'll proceed from there. So stand by for the next step. Okay, we're back at the workbench, and I'm going to put it on a ring mandrel that's graduated that gives me the sizes on it. And if I slide it down there, I'm looking at this thing is about a 12 and a half right now, right there, about 12 and a half, which is going to be quite a bit bigger than what I need. So what I'll do from here is I'm going to take and probably all I want to start with right here. I'm going to cut off a little bit there so that I can true this up and make that square, and I'll come back in over on this side and do that, and I'll do that a couple times until I get it their correct size. So I'm going to move the camera down where you can see this. Okay, so you can see how that's squared off there on the inside, and I'm going to run it back over to the ring bender real quick, and I'm going to close up the radius here, and then we'll double check it on the mandrel again, see how close we are. I'm going to do that off camera for the sake of time, so be right back. Okay, so now I've got it pretty close to round. I'm still a little bit larger than the size 10 that I need, so I've marked it here, and I'm going to cut a little bit off. We cut about a size of this off, and by the time I close it back up, we should have a size 10. Okay, so there I got it cut. I'm going to go back over to the ring forming tool, and I'm going to close this up, double check it for size 10, and then we'll solder the bottom of this back together. Okay, now I've got my ring closed up to the proper size. I put a little flux on it already, and I'm going to solder the ring closed. Solder up on it to get my torch a little higher. I heat it from the top till just before the solder flows, and then I'll heat it from the bottom because I want that solder to draw through the seam and not just on top of it. But it might get a little warmer. There we go. A little bigger flame. Okay, solder just started to flow. Move it around a little bit. And I may not have enough, so I'm going to cut off another couple of chips. And, it's a pretty wide ring that I'm working with. So from here, quench it, rinse it off, and we have a fully formed round band. And now what we'll do, put it on the ring stick. It is a size 10. Perfect. Make sure it's good and round. Looks good. Okay. Let me grab my calipers. Alright, and this is about 11.35 millimeters, and what I really want is a 10 millimeter band. So I'm going to take this raw edge right here, and you're not probably going to be able to see it too well. Maybe you can, I don't know. the cell phone camera is kind of bad, but this is a raw edge, and I want to take and I want to basically file and sand that down smooth. And once I've got that trued up and smooth, I will set my calipers at 10 millimeter and I'll scribe around it, and then I'll cut on my scribe mark so that I get 10 millimeter width, and it also will be flush on both sides. And then that still allows me enough for my inlay of it's about 6.6 millimeters now, but we'll do the same with this, and it will eventually wind up as about 6 millimeter. So I have 2 millimeters on each side of the band. I don't know. Yeah, maybe you can see that. It's hard to line that stuff up so that everything gets seen. But anyway, I think you get the gist of it. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this down on one side, cut it, get it the right width, and we'll be back after that. Okay, so here's what we've done. We've got a 10 millimeter wide brass band that is, it has been soldered together at the bottom. And we've done the same thing with our copper. And we've made it, I think it's close to 6 millimeter. It might be just a bit over. It's 6.1, so 6.1 millimeter. I'm not going to worry about 1/10 of a millimeter. And what I'm going to do is find the solder seams on both of these and line them up at the bottom, such as this. And I think there might be only one way that these things are going to fit together. There we go, this way, because of the taper of the mandrel. And that's what we're going to have. We're going to have a 2 millimeter, a two-tone wedding band. And I'm going to solder these two bands together now. Your solder will flow towards the heat, not away from it. So I'm going to heat from this side. And I probably won't have to heat it really hot. Maybe just touch the solder to it. I hope. Okay, I got it going there a little bit. I need a little more flux. Let's see. Flatten this out a little bit also. Alright, let's see what we get. Same principle of sweating pipes. Only I don't have to worry about water leaks. I'm not going to go all the way around with it. It won't take it. It'll just, I probably got enough in there if I heat it, it'll flow all the way around. Yeah, what we have there is plenty. Plenty mucho. Quench it, cool it off, rinse it. And my two bands are now soldered together. And what I'll have to do from here is I'll go in and I'll clean up some of that that tin base solder along the edge there. And we'll do that with an abrasive wheel. I want this wheel to be good and square, so I'm going to take a dressing stone and I'm going to make sure that my edges are nice and sharp on the wheel, like that. I'm just going to follow it around. Alright. Smooth down my solder mark on the copper. Just doing that with an emery stick. Yeah, looking good. So now what I want is I want my copper to have this really rugged, kind of almost battle-scarred, worn look. So right now, and the lighting in my camera here is just not the best. I don't know if I can get a good shadow going. Not really, but there you go. I want it kind of pitted and battle-worn and marked up and scratched up and dinged up. So I'm just going to put it back on the ring stick, and I'm going to take this chasing hammer that I had last night, wherever I put it. Here it was all along. Alright, I want to take this, and I've got I've just got a couple of hand tools over here that are kind of, this is just it's a little flattened tool that I've made to punch down bezels and chase metal and whatnot. So let's go back down here to the ring, and I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to just start making gouges in it. I might take the hammer itself and ding it. Actually, the hammer's working better than the chasing tool. Alright, so now maybe you can see that, or if I can, maybe a little better. Alright, so we've about got the band the way we want it. We got it the right size, we've got the copper, we got the brass, which brings us to this little guy right here. Now my original thought was I'm going to take this, and I'm actually going to make this this wire smaller. It's not quite small enough for what I have, but I'm actually going to make bars that wrap over, such as this, and we'll solder those in place as well. So I'm going to roll this down some more, and when I get it rolled down, I'm going to start cutting the length and getting a general placement of them. So I'll be right back with you guys here in a few minutes. Okay guys, this is our opportunity to show you annealing. This is a piece of the brass wire that I rolled out, pretty small. It's still square. I didn't make it round yet, don't think I'm going to, but it's actually gotten very, very brittle, so that I cannot bend it 90 degrees without it getting fractured or breaking altogether. So I'm going to use a pretty soft flame, and I'm just going to heat this metal up. I'm going to heat it up real slow, and it will relax all the little molecules of metal, and it will allow me to be able to bend it without it breaking. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and drill little holes in my band on each side of the copper. I want them to go all the way through. Such as that. And that, and I'm going to take my wire fit into the holes. And I'll take a pair of needle nose pliers and squeeze them down. Such as this right here. And what I'll do now is I'll go in from the back side and I'm going to lay a really tiny bead of solder on both sides of those to hold it in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with an inside ring sander, wherever I put it, right here, this little guy, and I'm going to sand down that sharp point on the inside, and then I'll try to figure out how I can go about cleaning off the excess solder on top. Alright, got it all nice and smooth on the inside. And there's what we got. You can see there's quite a bit of solder there that I'm going to have to clean up, but shouldn't be a big deal. We should be able to get that cleaned up fairly well. So I'm going to clean that up, and I'm going to move on to the next 5, and then I'll show you what we've got before we go to final finishing. Okay, I just finished. I wound up putting 4 crossbars on this ring, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. As a matter of fact, I might make one for myself when I have time. Time's a hard thing to come by. But anyway, I'll get some better pictures of this, some still photographs of it, but let me see if I can turn this light out, if it gets better. Maybe that's better, I don't know. But anyway, that's what we got, and we're not gonna. I'm not gonna polish it to a high polish because it's supposed to be a little bit on the rough and rugged side, and as it's worn, it's gonna really patina in. You know how brass looks after it's been patinaed and kind of oxidized a little bit. The copper will too, so it'll give a really antique-y, weathered, old look. So I hope the customer's happy with it. I hope it fits okay, and I really hope you guys enjoyed following along as we made what I have dubbed Bling Bang. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. Be sure to click the like button if you like the video. Click the dislike button if you dislike the video. Leave me a comment in the comment box if there's something you want to see made, if you want to see something done, if you just have a question about something. Drop me a comment below. I'll be glad to answer those questions for you. And stay tuned for more videos. We're going to get back up in the air as soon as the weather gets better. We're going to do some more flying. We're going to do some more jewelry work. And we're going to have some fun this summer. So appreciate you guys following along, and have a very great day.